April showers bring May palettes. Okay, I know that didn't make any sense. What's up, friends? Welcome back to my channel. I hope you all are doing well. You know what this video is. We have a new release from VISEART. These are the newest additions to their Petits Fours line. As usual, I'm going to be doing a full review for you guys. We're going to be doing a demo, swatches, and of course, lots of comparisons. So if you guys are interested in hearing all of my thoughts about these cute new little palettes, then keep watching. And if this is your first time here, welcome, welcome. My name is Sophia, and this is my channel where we talk about all things beauty and luxury. We have a lot of fun here on my channel. I upload content every single week on all of the newest luxury beauty releases. I also love fashion videos, bag unboxings, favorites videos, tag videos, you name it. We have so much fun over here on my channel. And if you want to join the fam, then click that subscribe button and hit the notification bell to hear about every time I upload a new video. Don't forget to give this video a big thumbs up, guys. And as always, I will be linking everything that I mentioned in this video in the description box down below. I do want to mention that I am filming this part of the video a little bit later in the day, so I do apologize if the lighting is a little bit off. All of the demos and the swatches and everything else I filmed earlier in daylight, so I just want to sort of mention that right off the bat before we get into the details on these palettes. Now, if you are watching this video and you are not familiar with VISEART, you need to be familiar. They are one of my favorite beauty brands, especially when it comes to eyeshadow. I definitely would consider VISEART to be a luxury brand. They very much started more so on the side of like the makeup artist market, and then as time has gone on, a lot of their releases have been more catering to like, you know, like the everyday consumer, and I would definitely put these Petits Fours palettes in that category very solidly. Now, these palettes right here are part of the Petits Fours collection. To my knowledge, these are the smallest palettes that VISEART sells. They're not the smallest pan size, but as you can see right here, as the name would suggest, you do get 4 colors in every palette. These retail for $25, and on the website, these are described as a bite-sized eyeshadow quad with 4 mouth-watering shades inspired by dainty pastry delicacies. It's a little treat. It's a little taste of what would otherwise be maybe a bigger color story in some of their other palettes, and I think these are great. I think that these are good for somebody who is just starting off with the brand, or if you're like me and you're a VISEART collector and you kind of just like everything that they release, these are really fun to collect. Personally, I have all of the Petits Fours palettes from VISEART, so we're definitely going to get into some comparisons in just a second. So in this release, we do have 4 new color stories, or I guess flavors, you could say. These are inspired by little pastries, and on the packaging for this, it's really cute. They actually have cute little macarons that are embossed all over the packaging. Super cute. I'm going to be going through every single flavor. And I'm going to be showing you guys swatches. I'm going to show you guys a demo, and then I'm going to show you guys comparisons, and at the end, I'm going to round everything up with my final thoughts. And before we get started, I do want to mention that it seems like this particular collection, at least at the time of me filming this video, is exclusive to Beautylish. I purchased these from Beautylish with my own money. I would suspect that these would probably eventually end up on the VISEART website, but it seems like Beautylish kind of got this as a new exclusive release, and each of these retails for $25. The first flavor that we're going to be talking about is Lavande. As the name would suggest, this is a lavender palette. Is it just me, or does anybody else love sort of flower flavored things? I like lavender, violet, rose flavored. To me, that's very French. I don't know. That's just me. I love those types of flavors when it comes to candies. Filming this review is making me very hungry. I definitely want a little macaron or a little dessert after this. But getting back to the palette, this particular palette has 3 beautiful purple mattes, and then it has 1 gorgeous shimmery lavender shade. And I will show you guys the swatches right here of what this looks like. I know a lot of you guys were interested in this one because it does just look so springy and happy. These are really, really gorgeous shades of purple. I did do a full eye look with all 4 of these palettes, so if anything, give me a thumbs up for my sore eyeballs right now, guys. But I'm going to show you the demo right here using Lavande. First off, I used one of the mattes to just build up a little bit of color and a little bit of depth into the crease. I definitely felt like the quality here was definitely in line with the rest of the VISEART line. Then I went in with the absolutely stunning lavender shimmer all over the lid. This is really the moneymaker shade in this palette. I really wasn't able to find another shade in my VISEART collection that matched up to this lavender. Then I went in with one of the brighter shades and just kind of popped that in the outer corner, just building out a little bit more color. And then finally I went in with the deepest shade, just building up even more depth and making it look a little bit more purple, a little bit more brighter and colorful. I popped on 2 coats of the Cali Ray mascara in all of these looks, guys, and I'm not using any eyeliner because I really want you guys to see what the shadows look like on their own. And I love this palette. I think it's so beautiful. I love the purple tones. I don't reach for purple tones all that much, but when I do, I'm always like, why don't I reach for these palettes more? When I went to do the comparisons for this, it was kind of a no-brainer to compare this against the Violette palette. I would say that there's definitely some similarities between these palettes. They're kind of like same, but different. When I swatched them side by side, I didn't find any dupes, but I definitely found a couple of shades that are similar. Once again, I think that the standout shade in this palette is definitely the shimmer. I wasn't able to find any dupe within my VISEART collection for that particular shimmer, and I am in this video, guys, just kind of going into their Entendu palettes, the Petits Fours, and the other Petits Fours that I have. I'm not kind of going through some of their very large, like Grande Pro palettes, just because I don't think a lot of us are going to be doing that. I think that those palettes are geared a little bit more towards makeup artists. So I do just want to mention that I really tried to keep the comparisons a little bit more contained to their smaller, more like consumer-friendly palettes. Next up, we have Pastille. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that correctly. I'm trying, guys. This is a neutral palette with a pop of cerulean blue. You're getting two sort of brown mattes. You're getting a shimmery warm tone bronze, and then you're getting that beautiful bright blue shade, which I would say has like a little bit of a sheen to it. I would say this is a little bit more of like a satin shade as opposed to a true matte. I definitely struggled with this palette the most. I feel like I didn't really know how to use this pop of blue. I felt like it was a little bit limiting, and listen guys, I'm not a makeup artist, so you guys could probably find a much better way to be able to use this blue, but I'll comment on the quality in just a second. What I decided to do is kind of experiment with this and do something a little bit different. First, I went in with this medium tone brown, and I kind of just built up a little bit of depth on both sides of the eye. I kind of wanted to do something that was a little bit like a halo eye. I definitely felt like this brown, it could have blended out a little bit more. It wasn't as silky as I typically feel like VISEART shadows are known to be. I then went in with the lighter flesh tone shade, which for me it's kind of appreciated because I like to use this more so as like a blending shade, but I do feel like it's kind of a missed opportunity in this palette. It's kind of boring. It doesn't really add that much. I put that in the center of the eye kind of as a base for what I was gonna do next, which was to go in with this sort of like cornflower cerulean blue. I went in and put that on the center of the lid. Now, my main qualm with this is that it doesn't have that much pigment. I definitely felt like this shade was a little bit patchy. It didn't really have the punch and the pigment that I wanted from this palette, and especially because this is almost like the standout shade in this palette, I definitely was a little bit disappointed. I wasn't really super happy with the way that this look turned out in the end. I then went in with the shimmery brown, and I kind of just tried to blend that around the edges and add a little bit more warmth and a little bit more shimmer, both to the inner corner and the outer half of the eye. Then of course I popped on 2 coats of the Cali Ray mascara, and this was the final look. I don't really know how this came out. Again guys, I'm not a makeup artist, so maybe I could have been a little bit more creative with what I did here, but I definitely struggled a little bit because I think typically with these palettes you're getting something that's a little bit more monochrome because you're only getting 4 shades. So I'll talk a little bit more about that in my final thoughts, but I did just want to comment on the quality of this one. I didn't really feel like these 2 shades performed as well as I typically would hope from a VISEART palette. Now let's look at some comparisons from Pastille. I immediately thought of one of the holiday Petits Fours that they recently released this past holiday season. This one is called Lapis. This was the blue one that came with that release. I would say these have some similarities in that they are both very clearly like the blue palette of the collection, but Lapis is definitely more blingy. It definitely has much more of a holiday vibe, whereas I would say Pastille feels much more springy, more summery, because you're getting these very summery warm tone neutrals and then you're getting that bright pop of blue. It definitely reminds me of kind of like the beach, a little bit of the ocean, whereas with Lapis, this is definitely a holiday release. So if you have Lapis, these are definitely not dupes. Next up, I wanted to show you guys what this looks like up against the Chocolat palette. I definitely feel like the browns that are in both palettes are a little bit similar. I kind of feel like this one, Pastille, it definitely has Chocolat vibes, except it just has that pop of like cornflower blue. As I investigated further in my VISEART collection, I pulled out the Bijouxette palette, and I wanted to show you guys these side by side because although of course the Bijouxette palette has a lot more shades, if you cover up a lot of those shades and you're just looking at the brown browns and sort of the jewel tone blue that's in that palette, you kind of have something that is very, very similar. I would definitely say that Bijouxette, it's more gold tone. Both Bijouxette and Lapis, they're just much more metallic than this one from the spring release. And I definitely think that I prefer that. I think I prefer those palettes over this one. This one's just like a little bit more dusty in texture. I just want to show you guys that. I do think there are some other similar tones. If you already have all of these palettes, I'm not sure that you need this one from this collection. Our next flavor is Pistache. Now this I would say is like half neutrals, half soft greens. We're getting a pale green, a brown, a bright white, and this beautiful kind of like pistachio matte. I'm definitely feeling this one for spring. I love how light and blinding the two shimmers are, and I also do appreciate that they included a brown just so we can kind of make it a little bit more neutral and it's not too overtly green. And to get the look with Pistache, I first took the brown, I kind of just blended that all in the crease. I definitely like this brown better than the one from the last palette. For whatever reason, I feel like it blends a little bit better. I also really like the tone of this brown. Next, I went in with that gorgeous pistachio shimmer. Love this color. I think that this is a really nice, soft, subtle way to wear green. It's a really nice metallic shimmer. Next, I went in with the shimmery white shade. I would say this is white, but it's almost white with a little bit of kind of a pistachio hint to it. Like it sort of leans green. Super beautiful, great for the inner corner. This could be a really good one and done shade as well. You could very much easily just wear the brown and the white, or the green and the brown, or the green or the white. There's a lot of different things that I feel like you could do with this palette. I feel like it's a little bit more inspiring to me. And then lastly, I went in with this delicious pistachio matte shade in the outer corner just to build up a little bit more depth, add a little bit more greenness. This definitely gives it a little bit more of like an overtly pistachio kind of look. So once again, if you don't want it to look that green, you could just stick to that brown. Finally, I popped on 2 coats once again of the Cali Ray mascara, and this is the look with Pistache. I really like this. Once again, it's very springy, it's very summery. I don't really have any other palettes that kind of come in these tones, but we are going to do some comparisons right now. And of course, I need to compare this against the one from the holiday collection, which is called Peridot. Peridot or Peridot? I'm not sure. You guys will correct me. Just like between Pastille and Lapis, I would say that Pistache, it's just more light. It's kind of a different vibe, whereas with Peridot, it's more of a jewel tone for holiday. So we got a couple of similarities between them, but I definitely think that Pistache, this is gonna be your go-to if you're looking for a really pretty, more spring-like look. I don't really see myself reaching for the holiday palettes outside of sort of the fall and winter season. To me, those are very squarely like more jewel tones, whereas this is something that I would reach for more so around this time of year. And lastly, we have Peche. You guys know I love a good peach palette. I just can't get enough of peach tones, especially during the summer. This is kind of my vibe. This looks really good on my skin tone. I love this palette. This has 2 peachy nude mattes. It has a beautiful sort of lighter peachy shimmer shade, and then you're getting this gorgeous, almost like ripened peach kind of shade. Ugh, this is so beautiful. This definitely adds a lot of beautiful brightness to the eyes. This is the palette that I am wearing on my eyes today, and to get this look, I went in with one of the mattes, of course, to just kind of build a little bit of a base on the eye. Then I went in with the lighter peach shade all over the lid. Mwah, this is so beautiful. All of these shimmers in these palettes just performed so well. I also love the tone of everything. I think they're very wearable. Then I went in with that ripe peach shade. This isn't as much of a high shine metallic as some of the other ones in these palettes. It's almost a little bit more of, I don't know what I would call it, like a satin metallic, but man, I just love the color here. I definitely think that that is kind of the standout shade that you have in this palette. It adds kind of a nice soft ombre, almost tie-dye effect, kind of reminds me a little bit of a flower. Then I went in with the lighter peach matte shade, and I just kind of used that to sort of blend everything out. Finally, I popped on some mascara, and this is the look that I got with Peche. I love this. I think it looks so beautiful. This definitely reminds me of those sort of like candy peach rings that you guys get from the drugstore. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? Those like peach candies. That's what this reminds me of. Maybe very hungry. Of course, I instantly think of candy, but yeah, I liked how this look turned out. Now, while this is a really beautiful palette, I definitely found a lot of other shades in my VISEART collection that were very similar to this, especially being somebody that likes neutrals and peach tones. There definitely are not dupes, but a lot of very similar palettes in the VISEART line. The first one that I want to show you guys is the Petite Pro Chou. I think that this was limited edition. I haven't seen this on the VISEART site, but in case you got this palette, I do want to show you the comparison of both of these. They're very similar. I really don't think that you need both. One of the reasons why I want to bring this up is if you didn't get a chance to get that palette, but you were very interested in it, then you might want to consider getting this one, Peche, from the Petits Fours line. Next up, I want to show you Peche up against the Spritz edit. Once again, there's more colors in the Spritz edit, obviously, but there are some similarities here. Again, I'll show you guys a side by side here so you can see what I'm talking about. I try to just find the shades that were the most similar to each other, and we definitely have some similarities. Not dupes, but similarities. Next up, we have Peche up against Apricotine. I don't think Apricotine is as overtly sort of punchy and peachy. Once again, I think that this delicious candied ripe peach shade that's here in the Peche palette, it adds a little bit of extra something that you're not getting from Apricotine, which is apricot-y, I guess you would say. It's a different fruit, guys. It's a different fruit, okay? It's more apricot-y and Peche is more peachy. But once again, do you need both of them? Not necessarily, but if you're somebody that loves peach tones and maybe you have all these palettes and you just can't get enough, then I think you're going to enjoy Peche. All right, friends, so that was the rundown of all 4 of the palettes. You guys saw swatches. We did a look with each. We did some comparisons. And now it's time for my final thoughts. These are cute, but they're not very unique is the thing. They're not very unique. You guys saw all of the comparisons that I did for you guys, and I feel like with each one, we're able to find something that is somewhat similar. I don't think any of these colors are particularly groundbreaking. I think quality-wise, all of these are particularly good. The only one that I didn't really enjoy was Pastille. I feel like it's just not up to snuff. And as I mentioned to you guys, I think that if you're going to be having this blue as the standout shade, then it needs to be really good quality. Like, I wanted to see more pigment from that blue. I want to be able to do like a seaside inspired look. And maybe you could argue, well, Sophia, these are inspired by pastries. It's supposed to be a little bit lighter, a little bit more elegant. I could definitely understand that. I can definitely understand that, but I just feel like the shadows in this one were a little bit patchy. The standout shade was definitely this shimmery bronze color. I thought that it was beautiful, but the thing about having a 4-shade palette is that if one of the shades doesn't work, like, the palette is kind of a dud. These are $25 palettes. I do think that they are a little bit overpriced for what they are. Personally, I would rather pay a couple more dollars and get one of like the Petits Pros or one of the Edit palettes or one of the Entendu palettes. I don't reach for these as much just because I like to have more colors to work with. But that being said, I do think that these are really cute, and the other 3 I think have fantastic quality. I just probably wouldn't recommend this one, Pastille. So yeah, just kind of thinking about this release in general, although I think that the colors are cute, they're fun, they're playful, and they're definitely accessible, I just think that this release is a little bit of a snooze fest. I just think these are kind of boring. I'm looking to VISEART to do something just a little bit creative. Even if you only have 4 shades, do something a little bit more creative. Like, with the first release of these palettes, we already had the theme of like flavors. We had like the chocolate, the hazelnut, the raspberry, etc. Like, we've already done this. We don't need to do this again. I get that it's very French, but I think that there's other French things that we can pull from. We could do French artists. I'd love to see them inspired by more places in France, not just Paris. We have like 3 or 4 palettes from VISEART that are inspired by Paris. What about Versailles? What about Champagne? What about Burgundy? And the palettes could be inspired by like Chardonnay and Pinot Noir. Like, there's so many different things that they could do. Take me around a tour of France. Show me a little bit more of French culture. And like, they just did like pastry flavors. And I wonder if the reason that they're doing this is just because, you know, times are hard right now. Their last release was them basically re-releasing colors that they already had in a different type of format, in a different type of packaging, which I think is relatively smart, but they're not really releasing anything new. It wasn't super creative. It was a little bit disappointing for me personally. And so I think one of the reasons why they're doing something like this is because I think a lot of consumers will enjoy these. I think they're very accessible. I don't think that the Petits Fours are necessarily supposed to be like a groundbreaking release. They're just supposed to be very lighthearted, very fun. So I can't be too critical against VISEART. I just think looking at the comparisons, we've seen these types of colors before. We've seen this theme before, and like, I just wanted something a little bit bit different. Now, who are these palettes for? I actually don't think that I would recommend these palettes for someone that is just getting started with VISEART. I think if you're getting started with VISEART, go for an Entendu palette. That is my recommendation. I actually think that these are great for those of us who maybe have a couple of VISEART palettes, or maybe you have a lot of eyeshadow palettes in general, and you just want like a little bonus palette. You're a fan of VISEART and you just want another little color story to kind of add on to what you already have, especially because here we're seeing so many similarities against other palettes that they have in their collection. That's who I think that these palettes are for. If you were to ask me which of these is my favorite or which one you should purchase if you're gonna pick up just one, that one's really hard. I mean, I think my favorite one is the Peche, obviously, because I love peach tones and I just love the way that this looks on my eyes, but I think that this might be a little bit of a boring purchase for you guys. If I didn't have a YouTube and I could only buy one of the ones that were in this collection, I probably would have gone for the Pistache because I feel like this is going to be the most unique out of what I already have in my collection. I think at the end of the day, you just need to ask yourself, which of these makes your heart sing? Do you care if you have repeats in your collection? Do you care if you have some similarities? If not, that's all good. I think these are a really cute release from VISEART, but enough about what I think. What do you think? Sound off in the comments down below and let me know if you guys are planning on picking any of these up. I know a lot of you were very, very interested in this review, wanted to hear my thoughts, so I would love to hear what you guys think. Did I sway you any which way? Which of these is your favorite? Let's sound off in the comments and start a little conversation per usual. If you guys enjoyed this video, don't forget to give me a big thumbs up. It definitely helps me out. And if you are new here and you have not subscribed already, what are you waiting for? Subscribe to our community. I will also put my Instagram handle up here and in the description box down below. Instagram is the best place to connect with me on the reg. That is where I am telling you guys about all of these new releases, product drops, when things come back in stock, and most importantly, when things go on sale. So definitely head on over to Instagram and connect with me over there. I hope that you guys are having a fantastic day, and I will see you in my next one. Goodbye.